And we're back. Hello everyone, and welcome back to FreeCodeCamp Responsive Web Design, Part 3. So, when we left off last time, we'd started to get into the basic CSS course, and I had reached Part 45, about halfway through. So now we are going to be carrying on with this. So let's do it. If you make the width of the page preview smaller, you'll notice at some point some of the text on the left starts wrapping to be on the next line. This is because the width of the paragraph elements can only take up 50% of the space. Once you know the prices on the right have significantly fewer characters, change the flavor class width to be 75% and the price to be 25%. Let's see. So we do this. We'll come back to the styling and the menu in a few steps, but for now, go ahead and add a second section below the first for desserts. So this, in other words, add an H2 element in the new section and give it the text of desserts. So maybe you can use H2 multiple times. I'm not sure if it's best practice or not. It's not a thing I tend to do, so not really sure. There we go. And FreeCodeCamp again wants money. I would pay you if I could, guys. Trust me. I enjoy your services enough I would like to be able to donate to you. Once I have a job, then I will give you a regular donation. Let's see. Add an empty article element under the desserts heading. Give it a class with the value of item. Like this. Nest 2 paragraph elements inside the article element. So that way. There you go. And now dessert as the value of the first element's class. Let's see here. And the price for the second one. Excellent. It does not look right. We added the correct class. Donut, but have not defined a selector for it. SS rule for the flavor sets the properties we want, so we just have to add dessert to that. There we go. Problem solved. Below the dessert you just added, add the rest of them, plus prices using 3 more article elements. And we will use the 4D chess move of just copying. And there we go. Give your menu some space between the content and the sides with padding properties. Yeah, I was wondering why we were stubbornly sticking to no padding on both sides. Turns out we're just doing that later. The menu class of padding left and padding right with 20 pixels. Unfortunately, we can't use commas to just put them all for the same thing because that's not something supported by CSS. But there is a way to just combine our values for stuff like this into one rule, which they'll probably cover later. So I'll just mention for now that it exists. That looks better. Now try to add the same to top and bottom. Yeah, since we're doing all the sides, they're almost certainly going to cover it right afterwards. Once all 4 sides have the same internal spacing, go ahead and delete the 4 properties. Use a single padding property. And that does the same thing. And there is actually a way to make it work with one property, even if you only want to add padding on 2 of the sides. And if you want to just cut down on the amount of lines you have to write, this is possible. Current width of the menu will always take up 80% of the body element's width. On a very wide screen, the coffee and dessert appear far apart from their prices. Add a max width property, value of 500 pixels, to prevent it from growing too wide. And yes, when it comes time to set the way you want certain things to look on very specific device screen sizes, max width and min width are going to be getting quite the workout, because if you want to specifically define exactly how big something should be based on screen size, you will need to tweak that a bit. Number 57, You can change the font family of text to make it look different from the default. Change all the text in your body by adding a font family property with the value of sans serif. This is common and very readable. So we do this. As I say, easier to read. There's about 11 billion fonts you can use for this sort of thing, so just, if you need to find a good one to use, just open Google Fonts, browse around and find something you like. And if it fits, use it. Simple as. It is a bit boring for all the text of the same font family, so let the majority of the text be that, and just make the header 1 and 2 elements use and different using a different selector. Style both of them. To use the impact font. That's another thing to keep in mind when it comes to fonts. You will import some that are not defined in a specific way. Because if they're more than one word, generally you will need quotation marks around them. So I find personally that it's a good practice to keep in mind that just put the name of the font inside of quotes if you are importing it and it's not just a default one. That way, if you end up doing one that needs to be in quotation marks, that you'll just be used to doing this. But the FreeCodeCamp editor does not like that, apparently. That's my usual way of doing it. And they say no to that. You can add a fallback value for the font family by adding another font name separated by a comma. Which, in this case, that's basically a just in case. If for whatever reason your import is screwed up, or something goes wrong so the original font won't work, these particular font family calls will default to your fallback. Make the estimated 2020 text italicized by creating an established class selector and giving it the font style property with italic. Yeah, you might recall a few times when we were going through the HTML section, I mentioned that certain things we were doing inline were basically just the same as making something bold. Yeah, generally those sorts of things you will do using CSS rather than by putting like the strong tag and what have you. And now we do this. It is italic, or italicized if you prefer. Typography of heading elements is set by the default values of the user's browsers. Add 2 new type selectors, and use the font size. And in this case, we don't actually want to be doing